Here we are in the dark today. Make sure I hit the like button and subscribe button. Make sure y'all hit the like button and subscribe button. But what we're here to do is talk about. I want to go further on that discussion because after I had that GOAT debate talk on this channel a couple of days ago, why Jordan's not the GOAT, I had a lot of people that took issue with that. This whole thing's been going on, and so salute to the Knicks for finally winning the game in the Eastern Conference Finals. But we about to have this discussion because this GOAT debate is stupid, it's contrived, and I'm going to prove it. But first, I want to, what's up, PJ Allen? First, I want to do is, I want to play, for those of you coming in now and coming in later, I'm going to play with Stephen A. Smith, this part on Stephen A. Smith's show, where he interviewed David Falk. And I want to play what they had to say, and then I'm going to give my reaction to it, all right?
Moving off the court.
Can y'all hear?
Longtime agent extraordinaire Mr. David Falk weighed in on the GOAT debate this week. Not surprisingly, Falk backed his former client, but he took it a step further. Speaking with the Sports Business Journal, Falk had this to say, quote, "I really like LeBron. But I think if Jordan had cherry-picked what teams he wanted to be on and two other superstars, he would have won 15 championships."
True, probably.
This prompted a response from none other than LeBron James' agent himself, Mr. Rich Paul. Take a listen.
You can't have revisionist history and we all want to just determine who's the GOAT and who's the best and so on and so forth. But I just thought that was a little beneath David to say that. Michael never had to leave. Michael's never been the underdog in any finals. Not one time. Michael never had a 24-hour, 365 news cycle. He never had shows built strictly to criticize him. People made millions of dollars criticizing LeBron James. That was their entire job. Michael played for Dean Smith. Michael played for Phil Jackson. And Michael had Jerry Krause. I'm the biggest Michael Jordan fan ever. I love Michael Jordan. And I don't think Michael Jordan would use the term cherry pick, so I'm not up here to discredit Michael Jordan. I think Michael Jordan.
Listen to how sensitive this nigga is. But I want to start off with that one lie. He said there have been no TV shows, no shows created around disparaging Michael Jordan. Well, there have been no shows created around disparaging LeBron James either. Matter of fact, ESPN is basically a de facto LeBron James network. So he starts off with a lie and a false equivalence.
Transcended our game to a level that we all benefited from.
What the hell do you mean, Rich Paul, when you say Michael never had a 24-hour, 365...
So that was that part right there.
You had to say about LeBron James in comparison to Mike?
Let me see.
Goes way beyond the court.
Okay, here we go.
The floor is yours. What would you like to say now?
Let me say at the outset, clearly LeBron James is a great player in any era. He'd be foolish to suggest otherwise. His longevity, his statistics are amazing. I think what makes Michael the GOAT goes way beyond the court. I think on the court, Michael obviated the center position. Prior to Jordan, you needed the Elijah Watson Ewings, the Kareems, the Bob Lanairs, and the way Michael played, he made it unnecessary to have a great center.
That's a half truth. For y'all YNs listening and young folks, Jordan obfuscating the center, was he one of the first championship teams to play without a major center? Yes. But at the same time, he never had to play against any great centers that had a deep team. He did play against Patrick Ewing, but Patrick Ewing's team wasn't deep at all. The Bulls had major problems when they played against both David Robinson and Hakeem Olajuwon. The best centers at that time were in the West, and then when Jordan went up against Shaq, he lost. When he went up against a healthy Shaq in 1995, Jordan got his ass whooped. Okay, so it is somewhat of a half truth that Jordan made it, but again, he wasn't the only one. You had teams like you had players that did great without great centers for a long time, like Jerry West, up until he got Wilt Chamberlain. He got an old Wilt. Oscar Robinson. You had a lot of David Thompson, Dominique Wilkins. You can go down the line of great players that did great without a center. Jordan won his. He wasn't going to. When he played against the Utah Jazz didn't have a great center. Neither did the Seattle Sonics. Neither did the Phoenix Suns. Neither did the Trailblazers. Neither did the Lakers. So when they're giving Jordan that credit is, it's a little rich because he didn't necessarily have to go up against a great center outside of Patrick Ewing, and his team was light years ahead of the New York Knicks at that time.
We won the championship with Bill Weddington, Dickie Simpkins.
So that's one thing. And then he says, I'm gonna get to this part.
Players to become national marketing
Here, right here.
ambassadors. Individually broke down every barrier that existed for professional basketball players, and in particular African American professional basketball players, to become national marketing brand ambassadors. So the whole generation of LeBrons and Kobe's and Steph Curry's having their own shoes and being in commercials did not exist before Michael came in the game. Magic didn't have it, Bird didn't have it, Dr. J didn't have it.
That's a lie. That's a lie. Magic did have it. Magic was a national spokesman before Jordan. Hell, Mean Joe Green, that Coca-Cola commercial in the 70s. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Jim Brown. These are all national spokesmen. O.J. Simpson. O.J. was way before Jordan. O.J. Simpson. So let's not give Jordan credit that he don't deserve. I want y'all to remember that part, and I'm going to play this part, and then after I play this part, I'm going to go outside, I'm going to light my blunt, and then we're going to sit down and have a conversation about this, all right? I want to play this part, and then we're going to expound upon this one a little bit later.
From the time he won the NCAA.
This is when he's talking about Magic. So at first, remember, he just told you Magic didn't have that. Now listen to this, and I'm going to tell you my story.
He had 42, yep.
42 in basketball at any level. Kobe's more like Michael, and LeBron's more like Magic. I usually make an argument that Magic Johnson is one of the greatest players of all time. Now think about this, Stephen, okay? Yeah. In 1979, in the NCAA final, Magic squared off against Bird. At the time, it was the highest rated game in the history of basketball at any level. Magic won. 1 year later, the Lakers were playing Philly in the NBA Finals. And in game 3 against her, Magic plays center. I don't know the exact, I think he had 37 and 14. He had the baby hook to win the game.
He had 42. He had 42. He had 42, yep.
42 and 17, right? Huge rebounds. He won the game, was the finals MVP, and rookie of the year. Now, if he had a 1 year career, and I'm here to give my props to Magic Johnson, from the time he won the NCAA to the time, he'd be in the Hall of Fame just for that 1 year. That was one of the greatest impacts in basketball, college and pro, in 1 year. On top of that, you know, as popular as Michael is, I think if Magic had the proper representation as a rookie, and we actually thought we're going to represent Magic. I think Magic could have done a lot of the things that Michael did in '84 in 1979, but he didn't have an agent that had the marketing background or savvy to understand the impact that Magic made in the number one media market, entertainment market in the United States.
David, before I let you get,
I want y'all to play that part because I'm gonna talk about going to the Jordan myth and how that plays into the LeBron myth. All right. So it's about to be story time here. I'm about to walk outside. I'm about to turn my camera off. I'm still here, y'all. Still here. Still here. Still here. Now, turn the TV off. Turn the TV off. Hold on. So, we're about to have this conversation right now. Right? Y'all heard what David Falk just said about Magic not having the proper representation. What I'm about to do is I'm about to talk to y'all about the Jordan myth, and then we're going to talk about how that gave way to the LeBron myth. Neither of these niggas are GOATs, neither one, but they both ran the same play, okay? So, you heard that part David Falk just said about Magic could have easily been at the top, but he didn't have the right representation. All right, let me break that down. Dave and I, old school people that have been here for a long time, you guys heard this story. Bear with me. This is for the newbies that are around who think I just do music history. You're telling y'all music is a pastime of mine. I never in a million years thought you niggas would care this much about music history. I do other shit too. But anyway, I digress. So I was just talking to my wife about this situation because in 2001, 2002, David Falk spoke to the students at Duke University. My wife was one of those students at Duke University. Appreciate the super chat, Floyd Holt. Yes, my wife is smarter than me. My degree's from Lolio, Cal State Northridge, hers is from Duke. Well, at Duke, David Falk gave a speech on Michael Jordan and what made Michael Jordan great. And really what it was the NBA. David Stern had just taken over the NBA in 1984. He came into the NBA the same year as Jordan and Barkley and Olajuwon. And what happened then was the NBA decided that to market the league, it's going to let its partners do the marketing. Its partners, Nike was a fledgling company at the time. You know, Converse and Adidas were ahead of Nike as far as market share at that time. And Nike was on the come up. Well, Phil Knight, Nike, David Falk all got together and they decided that Nike was going to help the NBA market itself. So the original plan was to get Magic Johnson. And if you go watch that show on Showtime that they did with the Lakers, you'll see this talked about in that. They decided to go with that. But Magic said no. Magic said no. And so they went with Jordan as the backup plan. And Jordan signed with Nike. Magic stayed with Converse. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna see if I can get in contact with Greg Newell. I know I'm like personal friends with Magic's representative at Converse at that time. It's a white guy named Greg. His father was Pete Newell. And who the fuck is this? His father was Pete Newell. Pete Newell had a basketball camp. The fuck are these people doing? The fuck is this nigga doing? Pete Newell had a big man basketball camp. And a lot of your great centers went through the Pete Newell big man basketball camp. And driving that cheap ass car down my alley. That car don't belong here. Must be some new white neighbors. Fucking white people coming into this neighborhood. God damn. Anyway, Greg was Magic's representative at the Converse at the time. And he talked to me about how Converse allowed Magic more control. Magic didn't want to give his basically name and sign his likeness over to Nike and have Nike control him. Magic was the natural. He didn't need Nike's help. And it was Magic and Bird that got the NBA to relevance. It was Magic. It wasn't Jordan. Jordan, without Magic, no one's paying attention to Michael Jordan. People got to make that very clear. It was Magic and Showtime that got people watching basketball. The only reason why people knew who the fuck Michael Jordan was is because they was watching Magic. Okay? Let's make that very clear. A lot of people forget that part. They like to write, like I noticed over the last 10 years, they like writing Magic and Bird out. It was the competition of Magic versus Bird, and it was Magic's play on the court, the no-look passes, the baby hook, the hyper-competitive games. That's what got people watching basketball. Before Magic, the NBA Finals were on tape delay. You can see, I remember asking my dad, I was like, man, Lakers lost to the Celtics a lot in the 60s. Damn, I said, did that piss you off? My dad was like, man, we weren't watching no damn Lakers in the 60s. He was like, them games was on tape delay. He said, even when we got Wilt Chamberlain, he said that shit would come on at midnight. My dad was like, Laker games would come on at midnight. He was like, it was Magic that got the NBA from coming on at midnight to getting prime time on CBS, okay? So it was Magic that was offered the sweetheart deal. Magic declined because Magic wasn't going to allow Nike to control his name and likeness. They signed Jordan as a backup. If you go back and look, you're not going to find too many Michael Jordan interviews from his rookie season and his first season. Why? Because David Falk and those guys basically took Jordan to refinement school. They had to refinish his image. So they had to take the North Carolina twang out of Jordan's voice and make him more marketable. Teach him how to walk, teach him how to talk. Basically create an image to sell to you goofies out there who want to buy it. So by 86, the whole plan started to come together. You know, Jordan got hurt that one year, and then he came back, started scoring a lot. They started making videos like Come Fly With Me, Michael Jordan's Playground, the shoes. And because Nike was directly partnered with had to deal with David Stern, and this is according to a speech that David Falk gave at Duke University 2001. My wife was there. I remember when she was at the school, we talked about this shit basically 5 minutes after she left out of class with David Falk. And you could see references to it again, if you think I'm bullshitting, in the Showtime series, and then again at the 26-minute mark of that interview he had with Stephen A. Smith. So the whole Jordan thing became a way to market the NBA. And when Magic and Bird both retired, the Jordan mythos took off as a marketing ploy to get you to watch the NBA and to sell. On one hand, the NBA got higher viewership. On the other hand, Nike, Gatorade, McDonald's, and the primary partners of the advertising partners of the NBA, they got their marketing face. Okay? This is business. However you guys, let me make it very clear, however you guys feel about Jordan, however you guys feel about LeBron or anybody else, that's irrelevant to me, okay? This is what they did to sell you a bunch of bullshit. They had a need to sell you shoes. They had a need to sell you a reason as to why you should watch the NBA after Magic and Bird retired. They had a need to make a lot of money. And it's worked because this marketing ploy with Jordan is translated into billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. So that's why you get the whole Michael Jordan 6-0. That's a narrative. Back in the 80s, it wasn't about 6-0. It was about your whole career, you know? And if you notice with LeBron, it became about finals appearances. When I would always say, when I would be like, hold on, Magic still, I never thought Jordan surpassed Magic, honestly. Magic spent 9 of his 12 NBA seasons in the finals, winning 5 of them. Magic, the high school championship, then into the college championship, then into a rookie. You know, no. But at the same time, people be like, well, it don't matter how many finals that Magic went to. Jordan's still 6-0. But then when LeBron got to the top, now all of a sudden finals appearances matter. They didn't matter when it came to Magic. They didn't matter when it came to Kareem. They didn't matter with those other guys. Finals appearances didn't start mattering until LeBron. Before that, it was just about how many you win. And then we'll be like, okay, well, Bill Russell won the most. Well, that was at a time back in the 60s. We're not even going to talk about Bill Russell. Let's just start and act like the NBA started in 1984. The purpose was to sell you shoes, and it worked. That's what it was about. So now, Jordan's retired. Shaq and Kobe time. Kobe and you saw this when NBC still covered the Lakers, the Jim Gray days, Marv Albert. If you go back to Lakers' first 3 championships, those were still NBC. They were saying that Kobe's just as good as Jordan in 2001. That second championship run, go back to the finals. Go watch them games in the finals, 2001. Go watch that conference championship game against the San Antonio Spurs. They were putting Kobe right there when Kobe only had 1 championship. This is a fact. But then 2003 happened, and Kobe had that incident with that white girl. They were calling him Kobe next Jordan before 2000. Yeah, you're right. They were calling Kobe next Jordan in the 1998 All-Star game. But Kobe had 2003 Vail, Colorado with that white girl. And if you know America, you know that the minute a black person is accused of anything, he's guilty. And so that accusation with Kobe is what wiped him out of the GOAT debate. That, and at the time, Kobe was with Adidas at the time too, before that. You can't be an Adidas player and be in the GOAT debate. Nike controls the GOAT debate, okay? Nike. If you're Adidas, if you're all that other stuff, you're not a GOAT, because that's Nike's conversation. Kobe started with Adidas. Had Kobe started with Nike, it might have been a different situation, but he started with Adidas. And So Kobe had the situation in Colorado and Kobe signed with Nike the same year he had that situation in Colorado, just before Colorado. This is what happened. Kobe signed with Nike, and my numbers may be a little bit off because I'm doing this purely off memory. But chat room, check my numbers. I think Kobe's contract with Nike was for $65 million in 2003. That same year was when LeBron was getting drafted. LeBron's deal with Nike was for $100 million. Chat room, check my numbers. This is me talking off memory. I challenge anybody that say, I don't know, my top ain't shit about basketball because you're used to listening to me talking about music. I dust any nigga in here that got an issue with me talking like this about Jordan or LeBron. I understand basketball more than you, I promise you. So this is me talking off memory. So when I saw that LeBron got $100 million before playing, yeah, and $100 million for the upper deck contract, right, Nomad? Yep. So when they invest that much money in you, it's because there's a particular outcome that they're desiring. And when Nike started their marketing campaign for the LeBron shoes, they created a commercial with LeBron and a choir. 4 years, 40. Thank you, PJ. I was going to say 45 or 65, but it was 40, okay. And LeBron got 100. When I saw that $100 million deal and LeBron's first commercial basically being in church with him throwing a basketball around to the choir, I said, this is their new GOAT. And so what they did with LeBron, they followed it along with the Jordan mold. And what they did was they used white anger against Kobe to elevate LeBron. After Kobe's situation in Colorado, from 2003, 4, and 2005, Kobe got injured and missed like half the season. And everything, and then at the same time, in 2004, Shaq leaves the Lakers. So 1, Kobe rapes his white girl. 2, he runs Shaq out of LA. That became the narrative. No one wants to play with Kobe, and he's a selfish player. Everybody look at LeBron James. LeBron makes the right play. He's married his high school sweetheart, and he's the king. Mind you, Carmelo Anthony was the first time in NBA history somebody won Rookie of the Month every single month and didn't win Rookie of the Year. That's how you know the cake was baked. Carmelo Anthony won Rookie of the Month every month, and Carmelo Anthony got his team to the playoffs in the stacked West. The West was stacked at that time. This is back when you needed 50 wins to make the playoffs in the West, or at least 47 wins, 45. Usually the 8th seed could make the playoffs with 38, 39, 40 wins. This is at a time in order to make the playoffs in the West, you had to have at least 45 wins. And Carmelo led his team to the playoffs. LeBron didn't. Carmelo won Rookie of the Year every single month that year. LeBron didn't. But LeBron still was MVP. Then you fast forward a year, 2, Dwayne Wade takes his team to the finals and wins the championship. Wins it. And meanwhile, what the NBA is doing, they're marketing Kobe as the evil, selfish, hogging teammate. And then the narrative became nobody wants to play with Kobe. Press number 1 if you remember that narrative. This is what First Take was built off of. See, Rich Paul saying that no show was created on hating on LeBron. No. What y'all got to understand is, pardon the interruption, First Take, these shows, especially First Take and Around the Horn, was all about pitting Kobe versus LeBron, good versus bad. They like to do that. If they can't get white, they like white versus black if they can. Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, Magic versus Bird. That's the time-tested one that's going to work. But it's not enough good white athletes for them to continue to push that line. If there were more great white athletes, they're going to push it with Cooper Flag. Watch. If there were more great white athletes, they would, but it's not that many. That's not racist. That's a fact. Big Pontiac Cold Pizza. Cold Pizza, First Take, same thing. But thanks for mentioning the original name, Cold Pizza. These shows were built off pitting Kobe against LeBron. And then it got so bad, it got so far as to, in 2008, 9, when you had, by the time the Kevin Durant, Steph Curry generation started to come around, they started pumping that, no hero ball. We don't play hero ball. And hero ball was always a jab at Kobe, because Kobe is shoot 1-on-7. So when they came out with the no hero ball thing, that was always a slight at Kobe. And so shows like Cold Pizza, First Take, PTI, Around the Horn were really built off playing Kobe versus LeBron. And Kobe was bad, LeBron was good. What stopped that narrative was when Kobe won championships. The thing that had to halt that narrative was 2009, when Kobe won that championship and LeBron choked against the Orlando Magic. For those of you who remember, they had the Nike puppet commercials at that time. Y'all remember the Nike puppets? And it was these commercials that was played all throughout the last month of the NBA season, all the way, really starting at the Christmas game. Well, not Christmas game, because the Lakers hadn't gotten Pau Gasol yet. Oh, yeah, gotten Pau Gasol, but Bynum wasn't back yet. Was it Christmas? It was sometime between Christmas and the All-Star game, 2009. They started pumping the Nike puppets. And somebody said 2012 was Kobe's prime year. Man, Kobe was so far on the decline by 2012. What in the hell is you talking about? Kobe 2002 would kick Kobe 2012's ass. Anyway, but I digressed. But Kobe, LeBron, it was set up for him to make the finals because the Celtics were hurt. Kevin Garnett had that knee injury at that time, and the rest of the East sucked. Cleveland had the best record in the league, and Jameer Nelson, starting point guard for the Orlando Magic, was injured. Jameer Nelson made the All-Star team, and I think a couple weeks after the All-Star game, he got injured. So they had backup point guard Rafer Alston, who had been bouncing around the league before then as their starting point guard. So it was set up for a LeBron-Kobe final. And then the only thing that stopped it was LeBron choking. Nowadays, they try to go back and tell you, LeBron didn't have it. No, LeBron had the best team in the NBA. LeBron had the best team in the NBA at 2009. In 2008, the Celtics did. In 2007, LeBron had one of the best teams in the NBA. But in 2009, they had Cleveland Cavaliers were the best team in the NBA. I think they had 66 wins. Check my numbers. Chat room, check my numbers. Did the Cavs have 65 wins or 66 wins in 2009? The 2008-09 season. Best team in the NBA. They had a complete roster top to bottom. Antoine Jameson is averaging 19-9, same way Pau Gasol is averaging 19-9. Antoine Jameson, Pau Gasol, if we're talking about 2009, they're a wash. They both were at the same. They both had about the same status in the NBA at that time. all-stars. Neither were the best power forward, but both were top 5, top 6 power forwards in the NBA. Cavs had Jameson, Lakers had Gasol. The Cavs had a 1 through 11 roster. Their roster was deeper than anybody in the NBA. They had everything a superstar needed. And they were up on the Orlando Magic, I think, 2-0 at first? Or one? But put it like this, LeBron only shot like 2 shots in the fourth quarter. Okay, 6-16? Yeah, see? Told y'all my basketball memory be on point. But, yeah, he had 66 wins. The Cavs won that first game, and they were up in that second game. And each game was tight going into the fourth quarter. LeBron, each game was killing. 39 points, 34 points, 43 points. The Magic could not do anything to stop LeBron James. The Magic had nothing for LeBron. Nothing. Yeah, Magic was there. Shaq was there. Shaq was there to neutralize the white. And he was. The problem was in the fourth quarter when LeBron James just got scared and played like a bitch. That's what happened. Every fourth quarter, see, people will tell you about 2011 versus Dallas. No. That shit go back before that. He played like a bitch. Did the same against Boston the previous year. Same against San Antonio when they got swept in the finals. Just played like a flat-out bitch. And Magic Johnson and the people that were doing the halftime shows, they were giving LeBron James the business. I told you, the LeBron James hype train started. The LeBron James hype train started when he was 13 and on the cover of ESPN magazine at 13 or 14. No, that was an ESPN magazine or Sports Illustrated. He's on the cover of one of those two at like 14 years old. That's when the LeBron James hype train started. But they did that. LeBron James for 4 years in a row nutted up in the fourth quarter. And that Orlando series, it was really bad because Orlando was missing their starting point guard. You say you're like 3 or 4? I've been forgetting some of y'all cats is young. But so all this happens. So then the lockout happened. Kobe wins the championship at home. Kobe wins in 09. Kobe wins again in 2010. Kobe wins in 2010. And so Kobe winning is what made the media grit their teeth and back off. They were playing the whole narrative, nobody wants to play with Kobe, yet still Ron Artest came over. So that's how that worked. But then Kobe, what happened was in 2011, the lockout happens. And somebody I knew back then, see, in order to work for ESPN and Fox Sports, I don't know how it is now in 2025, but how it was in 2011, there was a 6-week broadcasting school at Syracuse University. A 6-week long broadcasting school. Did I put the ash in here? No, I didn't. There's a 6-week broadcasting school. And you have to go to that broadcasting school to work for ESPN or Fox Sports. And a friend of mine at the time went to that school because we started a podcast together. I had a podcast on Blog Talk Radio called Sports and Things in 2011. 11. And it was me, Larry, y'all know Larry, that be calling in, and this unnamed NBA player. Who he is, that's insignificant. But this was my first attempt at podcasting on Blog Talk Radio 2011. It was me, Larry Goodwell, and some unnamed NBA player. You might be able to find some of those old episodes still up. I'm not going to tell you where to look because it's irrelevant. But that NBA player went to that broadcasting school. And when he went to that broadcasting school, he gave me a lot of notes. All the notes. He gave me but I got to look through my parents' basement and see if I still got some of that stuff. I got to look through my parents' basement. But it was a lot of stuff on doing, like, working for ESPN. And I remember one conversation that we had, not one, a few. He was like, basically, what they told you in class was you had to pick LeBron James or Michael Jordan. And all those debate shows, if you're going to work at ESPN, you can choose LeBron or Jordan. But you cannot expand the conversation to Wilt, Kareem, Magic, Russell. That was basically the edict at ESPN. This is according to somebody who eventually started working at ESPN. And this particular person still works in the NBA. But basically, and it's funny because he's actually one of LeBron's biggest dick riders. But this is a guy that, at the time, people's feelings change. So you don't hold people to whatever. But at the time, 2011, when we had said podcast together, this guy couldn't stand LeBron James to the point to where he had a chance to sign with the Miami Heat and chose to sign with the Boston Celtics instead. If he were the LeBron James sausage sniffer he was, that he portrays to be on TV now, I'm sure he would have signed with the Heat back then instead of the Celtics. And we're talking 2011, 12, 13, back in those years, when the Heat and the Celtics were going at it. But I remember hearing from the horse's mouth who went to the schools, like, that's basically the directive at ESPN. So why did I say all this? I'm telling y'all, this whole thing has been contrived. Jordan, LeBron, it's a fake argument. It's an argument between the two highest paid people in the history of Nike that have made Nike more money than any other players. LeBron and Jordan. They both got their guys from rookie deals, from the early years. Magic, he was with Converse, What's up, y'all? Kobe started with Adidas, So that's what happened. And the whole conversation was created to make you choose between Nike or Nike. Think about that for a second. the whole Jordan Kobe debate was all created for you to choose between Nike and Nike. That's the whole debate. Are you going to take Nike or are you going to take Nike? Which one are you going to take? You want old Nike or you want young Nike? Go, if you, okay, test my theory. Let's test it. Let's go to the 2024 Olympics. Who did Jaylen Brown in his tweet after not being selected for the Olympic team blame? In a tweet he deleted. What did he say? Really, Nike? Yeah, because Jaylen Brown left Nike and he got his own thing going. So the reason why Jaylen Brown did not make the Olympic team was because of Nike. The reason why Kyrie Irving didn't make the All-Star team was because the Olympic team was because of Nike. The reason Steph Curry didn't win Olympic team MVP, because remember, it was Nike that came up with the Olympic team MVP. The Olympic team MVP didn't exist. See, that's how they inundate LeBron James with awards. They want him to make the most award. They want LeBron James to be the most awarded player of all time. Fine, let's create new awards. Let's create an Olympic team MVP. That award didn't exist in 2016. That award didn't exist when Kobe played in the Olympics. It didn't exist when Charles Barkley and Carmelo Anthony played in the Olympics. It just got created last year. And who won it? First off, who won the games? Steph. We all saw Steph. If you saw the Olympics this past year, Steph captivated our imaginations with his play. Steph Curry did some crazy shit. If Steph Curry didn't go crazy, the United States at best wins bronze. At best. And somebody else is the MVP. Because the United States at best would have been bronze if it weren't for Steph Curry. But who is Steph signed with? Who's his shoe deal through? Hey, Clinton, you a fool. Clinton's a fool in the chat. The nigga said light-skinned brother save the country. Yep, MDT Sports. Stephen Curry is signed with Under Armour. So you don't get this new MVP that we created it. You think we created this award for you? And look at how many minutes they played LeBron. They played LeBron the whole fucking game. They wouldn't even put Tyrese Halliburton in. Look at what Tyrese Halliburton is doing right now in the Eastern Conference Final, in the playoffs. Tyrese Halliburton is a legit all-star, leading his team to the conference finals, up 2-1, but they played him like a dummy in the Olympics. They're making memes about Tyrese Halliburton, the guy who deserves the least. You don't think he could have did this shit he's doing right now in the playoffs? But they kept LeBron in the game so they can give him an award. Most decorated. Ugly ass cat. I gotta watch out for possums and raccoons and skunks around here. I got a whole bunch of fucking nature at my house. Y'all know my little Frenchie Rocky, it was this big ass Roland Martin sized raccoon walking down the street last night. And Rocky, it's a lover, not a fighter, little Frenchie. This little nigga Rocky tried to go after this big ass Roland Martin sized raccoon. I'm like, Rocky, that raccoon that beat your motherfucking ass. The fuck is you doing? What are you doing? This nigga really tried to charge at a raccoon last night. I had to yank his ass like, nah, Rocky, we going the other way. So I walked the other way, and I cut through one of the houses, and it's this big ass skunk. And Rocky wanted to go up on the skunk. I'm like, first off, that raccoon would have kicked your ass. This skunk is gonna piss on you, and you gonna have to be asleep. Nigga, you gonna be sleeping in the garage if this skunk piss on you, nigga. I had to pick Rocky little ass up. Like, nah, you tried to attack a raccoon and a skunk in the same night. You a little French bulldog, nigga. Stop it. Yeah, a raccoon will whoop a pit. You said there's a coyote in your garage yesterday. But what's funny is, I saw it when I was driving home last night before I walked Rocky. I saw a coyote dipping across the golf course. It had just dipped. I was like, that's a coyote running onto the golf course? Oh, shit. Yeah, Kevin, man, my little Frenchie my little boy is a house dog. Nah, that nigga would have been sleeping in my garage for a few nights. Hell yeah, that skunk would have sprayed. I had to pick Rocky up, nigga. We are walking the rest of the way home in my arms, nigga. Can't afford for you to be trying to run after a goddamn raccoon. But LA Shot Call, you said you got sprayed by a skunk? Goddamn. And skunks is all in Glendale too. Yeah, Andre Housepants be forgetting it. Rocky be forgetting he is not about that wild animal life, nigga. Stop it. You said about a week. Let's see. But chat room, am I making sense about this whole Jordan thing and LeBron thing? Both are lies. Both are Nike contrived arguments. It's all Nike contrived argument. You say you had to take a vinegar and baking soda bath? Damn, dog, you got sprayed by a fucking skunk. Ooh, ugh. Yeah, because like in the spring around here, the skunks, the raccoons, nature comes out in the spring around here. I was actually gonna do a nature walk tonight, but I decided to talk to y'all and said on here I was gonna take some mushrooms tonight. Yeah, speaking of trips, it's new moon too. I need to go on a trip. For me, I go on mushroom trips according to the moon. Full moon, when you want to release things. And I'm no medical doctor. This is just how I talk. This is just for me. You go on a mushroom trip and you get those thick stems. Those are the ones that are more indica style. They're internal. When you want to go through and purge internally, you get them thick stem mushrooms. Take them on around full moon and start to go inside and release things and let things go. When you want to increase, when you have, okay, you want to do something better, you want to do something more, you want to create something big, you want You get the skinny stem mushrooms. Those are more mental. You see things. And you take those on new moon. Or you go thick stem also. You take those on new moon. That's when you start to get creative ideas. That's how I got my Black American music family tree. Mushrooms. Yeah, the pills. I like these pills called aliens, personally. I like these pills called aliens. There's other ones that I have a deal that I do some work with bliss capsules, but bliss capsules is amanitas. These aren't the trippy mushrooms. Like bliss capsules, these are amanita. These are more so like when you got to work and you want to get focused. These are like the real, like these are just some straight, I'm talking about the other mushrooms. I could take this brand called Aliens. I could take them, but only in microdose. I can only microdose the pills. If I'm gonna go on a trip, I need the real mushroom. Yeah, the Bliss capsules are more like lion's mane. Just more right, just energy. Yeah, but the psilocybins, yeah, yeah, the psychedelic shit, nigga. And plus, you take the skinny stems for the visuals. When you want to see shit, you be like, hey, with them skinny stems. The thick stems are more introspective. When you want to cleanse yourself, the thick stems is gonna have you readjusting yourself to life. And I'm no medical doctor. And I do not advocate for the use of mushrooms. I can only speak for myself. You dig? I can only speak for me and my experience. But yeah, the other ones, I got a lot of shrooms too. I gotta use. I got some shrooms. I got some shrooms on my weed tray that I've had for like 6 months now. I gotta use them. Yeah, like when I did that mushroom trip, I woke up to that Black American music family tree. You guys wouldn't have a Black American music family tree if it weren't for a mushroom trip. It's all godly, just like water. Water can give life, water can flood. Water can drown you or it can nourish you. Fire can burn you, fire can cook your food. It's all in how it's used. You can be a fucking drug addict if you want and losing yourself on mushrooms, or you can use mushrooms to enhance your spiritual experience. I ain't gonna tell you how many music downloads I got from being on mushroom trips. Mushroom trips and listening to music, I hear some shit in the song that I ain't never heard without the mushroom. I took a mushroom trip one time and played Michael Jackson. I played the History album. Man, I heard so much in that History album. If y'all go back, if you look on my Patreon, I have a Michael Jackson Decoded, an episode on the History album where I'm decoding Michael Jackson. I wasn't on shrooms when I did that, but a lot of the information that I got was while I was on the shroom trip. I heard so much shit on that shroom trip, and Michael Jackson started talking to me. I was like, oh shit. So then I went back and listened to it, not on shrooms. And I was able to retain, like, oh no, that did happen. But it was a shroom trip that made me hear it initially. I'm like, I heard this song 100 times. Why have I never heard this part? And then that gave me the idea to decode Michael Jackson and his music on the History album. And the shit, then I went on and pulled up the lyrics. And when I pulled the lyrics up online, I saw it said what I heard. But I was like, I would have never heard those parts of those songs without shrooms. Yeah, skinny stems are more visual. Skinny skin's gonna have you having a good time. You know what I mean? Put this: all shrooms are gonna be a spiritual experience. So either one you take is gonna be spiritual if you want it to be. If that's what your intention is, you gotta enter it with your intentions. Sometimes I take shrooms just to perk up. I microdose. Like I microdose just for a little boost of energy sometimes. And sometimes I microdose to work. Like I'm doing some shit right now. I'm about to on Tuesday. I'll be editing probably all day my documentary. So I'm already knowing probably gonna I'm not gonna be on a full dose, but I'm definitely gonna microdose. Just probably be chomping at the bit for like 16 hours. Yeah, I'm probably not gonna see me live on Tuesday. Or if I do go live, it's gonna be like a late night live like this. But it comes down to how you use it. If you want to be a fucking drug addict, then be one. Andre Bryan said, do I plan on doing a car reading on Travis Hunter? I can. I'm gonna start giving my Patreon more on the car reading tip. I have a higher tier now, but I'm about to create a lower tier on Patreon and start giving y'all like once a week on Patreon when it comes to the car reading tip. I've neglected my Patreon car reading level, you know. To not say neglected, but I haven't given them. I gotta give them more. I tell them all, if you're on a Patreon and car reading level, all of you guys have a free reading. And I've actually inboxed some of you niggas, and y'all ain't hit me back on the Patreon car reading level. But anyway, back to what we were talking about. Travis Hunter. But like going back to let's cap off the Jordan. We'll talk about Travis Hunter next. Remind me, but to cap off the whole Jordan and GOAT debate thing, look, who your favorite is up to you. And whoever your favorite is going to come down to somebody who probably reflects the particular aspects of the game that you like and value the most, or the team that you love and value, the best player from the team that you love and value the most. The best player is personal. Somebody told me that, in their opinion, Isaiah Lord Thomas is the GOAT, and the best. And I didn't argue with them. How can I not argue? Why would I argue somebody that beat Jordan 3 times? If everybody say Jordan's the GOAT, well, what about the nigga that beat him 3 times? Oh yeah, y'all don't put that part in the argument. So I get it. I'm not supposed to bring that up because it doesn't bode well for that Jordan debate. Like, if this dude's debate, why did he lose to the same dude 3 times? So anyway, if somebody say KD is the GOAT, I rock with it. KD's an unstoppable force. KD had a lot of bad luck. No one ever talks about KD's bad luck. They'll talk about him going to the Warriors, but they won't talk about KD's bad luck. Bad luck number 1. Sam Presti doesn't. He lets James Harden walk and go to Houston. You keep Westbrook and get rid of Harden. You could have kept Harden and Westbrook, and then from there, all you have to do is surround them with corner shooters. No Hall of Famer, 2 or 3 All-Star teams. Because people will be like, how did a team lose in the second round with 3 All-Stars? I'll tell you how. They didn't have reliable shooters. The only way All-Stars can exist and MVPs can thrive past the second round is with shooters that space the floor. if you don't have shooters that space the floor, you cannot thrive past the second round. You're going to get to the second round, and that's going to be it. That's why the Clippers, when you don't have consistent corner shooting, you can't go deep in the playoffs. So Kevin Durant, his time at Oklahoma City, Presti never got him corner shooters. He had Andre Roberson and Kevin Martin. And there was a story that came out about Kevin Martin last month that basically he said that he stopped shooting one time in OKC because he didn't want to become an all-star. And if y'all remember when Golden State came back in the playoffs down 3-1, how did they do it? See, you niggas just look at the stats. I look at the strategy as to how it happened. Because every question can be answered if you know how to analyze basketball. And how that happened was Golden State sagged off of Andre Roberson. Andre Roberson was at one point missed like 15 straight three-pointers, and he was scared to shoot. So whoever Roberson was guarding, they shadow and they double Kevin Durant. And whoever was guarding Kendrick Perkins, since Kendrick Perkins ain't shit on offense, they were shading Durant. So whoever's guarding Roberson, the minute Durant puts the ball on the ground, they come in double team, and they were funneling Durant to the middle, because the middle is where the help was, because they were guarding Kendrick Perkins, and no one was worried about Kendrick Perkins getting a basket on anything other than a dump off. So the person that was guarding Andre Roberson doubled Durant, and they funneled Durant into the help defense. So Durant had 3 people on him at all times. And on top of that, they sagged off of Russell Westbrook because strategically, Russell Westbrook's a fucking idiot. He has absolutely no basketball IQ. None. So he's going to take bad shots, and if you shade off him, he's not a good set three-point shooter. He's going to brick. So Kevin Durant essentially had 3 to 4 people around him at all times, every time he put the ball on the court, and that's why he had so many turnovers. See, people point to the turnover stat, and they can never analyze why the turnover stat exists. The turnover stat existed because Andre Roberson, Kevin, and Russell Westbrook's defenders were sagging off those 2 non-shooters to shade him and put 3 on Kevin Durant at all times. LeBron has never had to deal with triple teams. Why? Because LeBron James in Cleveland had guys like Kyle Korver in the corner, who by the time 2016 rolled around, Kyle Korver had made the 3rd most three-pointers in all time in NBA history at that point. This is before Clay and Steph overtook him and Harden. Clay, Steph, and Harden has since overtaken him. But at the time, the only 2 people who had made more three-pointers in NBA history was LeBron's other former teammate, Ray Allen, and Reggie Miller. So that's who LeBron had on his team. He had Richard Jefferson, knockdown three-point shooter in Cleveland. Richard Jefferson also was with the Spurs when they went to the finals, with New Jersey when they went to the finals. Everywhere Richard Jefferson played, his teams went deep in the playoffs. He was that level of role player. Mike Miller, knockdown three-point shooter. Rashard Lewis, knockdown three-point shooter. Shane Battier, great defender, knockdown three-point shooter. Mario Chalmers, knockdown three-point shooter. See, what dummies don't realize about basketball is this. Your role players don't need to do everything. They just need to do one thing great, 2 things great. Play defense and hit open shots. And hitting open shots is a skill within a skill. Every shooter can't do set shooting. That's why Carmelo Anthony struggled so much. He became a good set shooter, but Carmelo Anthony was always a better shooter off the bounce. You have set shooters, and you have shooters that shoot off the bounce. And Carmelo and most players, like most really, really talented players, are shoot off the bounce players. That's why teams with like 4 and 5 All-Stars very rarely win, because you have a whole bunch of people who score a lot, but they're used to having the ball to score. You're better off having a role player who's never going to be an All-Star, but all he does is catch and shoot. You got to have catch and shoot. Your catch and shoot player is only going to average anywhere from 8 to 14 points a game. Your catch and shooters don't average a whole lot, because there are plenty of games where they may only have 6 points. Their catch and shoot skills weren't needed that night because the superstar was having such a great game, they didn't really need to pass it out to that person a lot, or a different shooter had the hot night. So your catch and shooters are only going to average 8 to 14 points. That's because the catch and shoot gets passed around. So when they'll pull up a LeBron James stat sheet, it'll show, well, this guy only averaged 9 points, and the other one averaged 8, and the other one averaged 7, and the other one averaged 14. Yeah, that's 30 points your star didn't have to score, fool. Versus you put them with who Kevin Durant had in Oklahoma City. Andre Roberson ain't about to catch and shoot no 14 points for you. They go, what? Russell Westbrook got to shoot off the bounce. He can't catch and shoot. All of his points are going to come off the bounce. That was the issue with. That's why Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant didn't work well together. Because Kevin Durant needed a guard that could shoot off the catch and shoot. Russell Westbrook couldn't shoot off the catch and shoot. He had to shoot off the bounce. Most of you niggas that read stats don't even know what shoot off the bounce means. Yeah, Kobe had Smush Parker. He couldn't catch and shoot. Luke Walton couldn't catch and shoot. So y'all see what I mean? Kevin Durant got a lot of bad luck, and he still overcame that. People don't understand, the same Spurs that Kevin Durant, that LeBron got basically gentleman swept against and barely won 4-3. Kevin Durant ate them niggas alive. Kevin Durant beat the Spurs in the West. It was like you had to beat the Spurs, and then you got to beat Golden State. And then after the year after Kevin Durant beat the Spurs, he gets his first major injury in his career, misses the playoffs. And then the following year, Patrick Beverley injures Russell Westbrook. So Oklahoma City, they lose James Harden. They never get perimeter shooters. And then they end up losing Kevin Durant to injury one year, then Russell Westbrook to injury the following year. Recover from that in 2016, go up 3-1 versus the Warriors, and Klay Thompson in that game 6 was so pivotal because I feel bad for Durant, because they were trading 3 for 2 that whole game. Every time Durant would score 2, Golden State would score 3. Russell Westbrook turnover. This nigga Klay Thompson literally broke the NBA record for most 3-pointers made in the game for the Warriors to win game 6. Go look it up, nigga. I'm a basketball encyclopedia, motherfucker, for you stat reading niggas. Go back and look. It was either game 5 or game 6. Klay Thompson broke the record for most made 3-pointers. Let's see what that is talking. It was either game 5 or game 6 that record was broken. And that's what it took to beat Durant. And that's with a sorry-ass Andre Roberson missing every goddamn thing he throw up. So, it was just a lot of unfortunate shit that happened. And at the same time, you're comparing Kevin Durant with a guy who super teamed it up twice now. First time with Miami Heat, second time with the Cavs. Because he didn't play with the Cavs from 2015. He played with the new Cavs. He played with Kyrie Irving. See, I know about the Cavs. One of the guys I knew somebody that played with the Cavs. And that's how you see in 2010, I was around the Cavs the year after LeBron left. And that Cavs team that they had was not the Cavs that LeBron played on. LeBron ends up you bring Mike Miller over from Cleveland, you bring Big Z back, James Jones. You bring them back. With Kyrie, we all knew Kyrie was going to be special. Kyrie is just the type of player that he closes games out. You can't ride Kyrie for a whole game. He's too fragile. Kyrie's somebody that needs a player that he can ride so he can close it out. LeBron James is the type of player that you can definitely ride a whole game. You can ride LeBron, but LeBron ain't going to be the one that brings you home. He's not bringing it home. That's why they never won in Cleveland. Fuck what they said. The reason why Cleveland didn't win in 2009, 8, 10 was because LeBron couldn't bring it home. He was choking. Team be right there. They weren't getting fucking blown out. Nigga, they was right there in the fourth quarter. Every fucking game against Orlando. Every game against Boston in 2010. But what would happen? LeBron. You don't argue with me, niggas. Go look it up. So when you're putting a team together, this is how you put a team together. You get stars with contrasting styles. You got one player you can ride, another one to close. It's tough when you have two players that need to be ridden. That's why Iverson and Carmelo didn't work. That was basically your turn, my turn basketball. That's why Kawhi Leonard and James Harden didn't work. Ain't working. Your turn, my turn. You need one that's going to be riding the whole game. And another one that's why Dwayne Wade worked. Dwayne Wade was the kind of player that more like, Dwayne Wade is the type of player that feels his way through a game. And he was always at his most effect. That's why he worked with Shaq. That's why he won a championship with Shaq. Shaq had a vendetta against the Lakers, so he got in shape. Shaq wasn't in shape the final 3 years of the Lakers. That's why Dr. Jerry Buss let him go and kept Kobe, because Shaq wasn't coming in shape. Go back and look at the 2003 season when Shaq had a toe surgery that was due in the summertime, and he waited till training camp. That's why that team didn't work with Karl Malone. Well, Karl Malone got hurt too, but the team they had Karl Malone, Gary Payton. Shaq waited till training camp to have a surgery that he should have had in July. So he was out of shape every year with the Lakers. Jerry Buss said, get the fuck out of here. So when he went to Miami, got with Pat Riley, got in shape. So Shaq was still Shaq the first 2 years of Miami. After that was when Shaq started to decline. But first 2 years of Miami, Shaq was better his first 2 years in Miami than he was his last 2 years with the Lakers. And that's why most people in LA didn't mind Shaq leaving. Because it's like, nigga, we got this nigga Kobe over here getting better every year and you bullshit. So Dwayne Wade had a Shaq that he could ride, and then he could be the one to close it out, because Shaq was never closing out shit. But the years after Shaq's decline and before LeBron, Dwayne Wade had a few injuries. And those injuries were because Dwayne Wade, we were starting to see, wasn't the type player that you wanted to ride all game and close it out. When he could ride Shaq and close it out, he was fine. When you had to ride him all game and close it out, his body started to break down. So insert LeBron. Somebody said I'm making up narrative. This isn't a narrative, you dickhead. This is what happened. Go suck on your mama's titty if you don't like it. So anyway, her milk is yellow. Anyway, so this is what the type of player Dwayne Wade is. And so you match him with LeBron, and they always got to tell you up front who the real king is. A real king don't leave his kingdom. If LeBron was a king, Dwayne Wade would have gone to Cleveland. LeBron James be like, nah, I'm at home. That's where my family is. We were right there 3 years in a row. We were right there at the championship. I just need your help, Dwayne Wade, to come make it happen. And that's what would have happened if LeBron James was truly a king. So in this fake shit that they set up called the NBA, white boy got to tell you in front of your face what it is. That's how the white boy get away with what he does. He tells you the truth every time, but you don't believe your lying eyes. You wait for the white boy's narrative and you don't look at what you see. So they showed you who the real king was by LeBron leaving and going to Miami. Then you take Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh he broke all of Vince Carter's scoring records. Most points, rebounds, and assists in Raptors history. Olympian, and at the time I think he was a 4-time All-Star. 2011, he surpasses Tim Duncan, Dirk, Amari Stoudemire as the better power forwards in the NBA. By 2009, Chris Bosh had established himself, 2010, as a more preeminent power forward than Dirk was at the end of his career. Tim Duncan was at the end of his career. Chris Bosh was that new guy. And he proved it in the Olympics. Tim Duncan lost when he went to the Olympics in 2004. Chris Bosh won in 2008. And Chris Bosh was a monster. So you team these three together, but not only do you get these three megastars in the 8th year of their career, mind you, going back to 2004, 5, the debate was a 2003 draft as good as a 96 and the 84 draft? If you know basketball, the greatest drafts in NBA history was 1960, 1984, that's Jordan, Barkley, Elijah Wan, Sam Bowie. 96, Ray Allen, Kobe, Allen Iverson, Stephon Marbury, Steve Nash. 2003, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, Bosh, Peja Stojakovic. I'm sorry, Stojakovic was 96. Wash Bay. So you're already dealing with three guys that were part of what was widely regarded as easily one of the top 5 drafts in NBA history. 100% of draft historians will agree that 2003 was a top 5 draft in NBA history. Whether you choose 84, 60, 72, or 96 is up to you. But 03, even if it's behind all those, everyone, 100% of basketball historians agree that was one of the top 5 drafts in NBA history. 2003. And you team 3 of the top 5 picks of one of the top 5 drafts in NBA history on the same team. And then you surround them with shooters. Rashard Lewis, Mike Miller, Saint Bade. These are defender shooters. And then you give them a dog like Udonis Haslem that can knock down a 20-footer who has a consistent 20-foot jump shot, who can play defense at both power forward and center, and he can switch out on a guard if need be. Then you give him Jonas Algauskas, who's a former All-Star, who, yes, he had leg injuries, but he could still shoot like a motherfucker from 3.2. You get a center that's a knockdown, that's a former All-Star that had leg injuries, so he's no longer mobile like he used to. But again, You don't need Mobile Zydrunas because you got Wade, Bosh, and LeBron. That's 3 niggas that can get their own shot. You don't need 4. You just need this nigga to knock down that open jump shot. And he does so consistently. So you get the great Chris Bosh, who now becomes a corner shooter. And for 4 years, Chris Bosh became like a Robert Horry style. Go back to 2012. They almost lost to Indiana when Chris Bosh had that abdominal injury. It wasn't until Chris Bosh came back from that abdominal injury that they beat the Indiana Pacers. And he hit all those big shots. Got all the big rebounds. Played great defense. Everything 2 superstars need. Did all the ins and outs. Set the tough screens. Did everything. All the stuff that don't show up in the stat sheet that wins basketball games, Chris Bosh does. And then when it comes time to be big man on campus, he gets the rebound and kicks it out to Ray Allen. You know, he hits that 19-foot elbow jumper to seal the series off. Of course, LeBron is basketball Drake nomad. Yes. That's why when him and Drake was going at it, that shit was fucking hilarious. I wouldn't lie to y'all, people. The NBA is rigged. It's rigged. It made a way for the people it wanted to be the best. Difference is Jordan actually, at least Jordan executed the assignment. LeBron didn't. They rigged it for Jordan. They changed the rules for Jordan. They expanded and brought in 6 new NBA teams during his reign, which watered down the NBA. You get, for the first championship run, you get the Charlotte Hornets, new team, Orlando Magic, new team, Miami Heat, new team, Minnesota Timberwolves, new team. After all those new teams come in, you still lose to goddamn Isaiah Thomas again in 90. But then 91, the NBA is sufficiently diluted. Isaiah Thomas is done, Bird is done, Magic is done. All the other talent of the NBA gets spread around with these 4 new teams. You win your first 3 championships. And then you take some time off, and during that time off, you get the Vancouver Grizzlies and the Toronto Raptors. You dilute the NBA again. You get a 3rd Hall of Famer, Dennis Rodman. Everyone else only has 1. Well, Utah has 2, Stockton and Malone. But you get Dennis Rodman, who can, the one player, there's only one player in the late 90s. There's only one player that can guard Karl Malone one-on-one. One. Guess who that was? Dennis Rodman. That was the only player that Karl Malone, that nigga's jump shot, I hated Karl Malone too, but that nigga's jump shot was wet. Ooh, his post play, you couldn't do shit with Karl Malone. Except for one guy. Well, 2 guys, Sean Kemp. Sean Kemp used to get in Karl Malone's ass. And there's only one guy that you can put Sean Kemp one-on-one get, Dennis Rodman. The late 90s into the early 2000s is when the NBA became power forward dominant. Chris Webber, Rasheed Wallace, Tom Gugliotta, Kevin Garnett, Karl Malone, and at that Antonio McDyess before them injuries. It started to become a power forward league. Then later on, Amari Stoudemire, down the line, Antoine Jameson, Dirk Nowitzki. It became a power forward league. Duncan. And so you get Dennis Rodman. Because remember, before Dennis Rodman comes over to Chicago, Shaq whooped Michael Jordan's ass in 95. Somebody said nobody wanted Dennis Rodman. He had just come out, left the Spurs. What the fuck are you talking about? They didn't like Dennis Rodman because of his antics, not because of how he played, you fucking dipshit. Learn something. Shut the fuck up and learn something. The issue with Dennis Rodman was him coloring his fucking hair all kind of different colors and coming in at odd times of the night. That was the issue with Dennis Rodman, not his game. His gambling addiction and his fucking stunts. Marrying Carmen and Electra and being out at 5 a.m. with Madonna. That's why they didn't like him. Phil Jackson just didn't give a fuck. Fucking dummy. And then there's something about, see, for people who know basketball, it's super important that you keep the other team to one possession. That dude, that big-nosed nigga on New York, what's his name? He's doing that. That's why New York is doing so good. Number 8, what's his name? The power forward that's been taking all the Carl Anthony Towns this time. What's his name? One possession. That's what Tristan Thompson did on that Cleveland championship run. One possession. That's what Dennis Rodman did. One possession. Rebound. Superstars need forwards that can keep the other team to one possession. The thing that kills is offensive rebounding. That's where the Clippers got fucked up against Denver. They weren't controlling the paint at crucial times. Mitchell Robinson, that's his name, Mitchell Robinson. Holding the other team to one possession is just as important as the guy that's getting all the points. Offensive rebounds are like gut punches in prize fights in boxing. Those are punches to the belly. You can't afford to give up offensive rebounds. And Dennis Rodman was the one player that could neutralize Karl Malone from that. So you get that, and then you got Jordan and Pippen against Stockton, and after Malone, the next best offensive player is Jeff Hornacek. So basically, when it came down to it, they would put Pippen. Now you had Ron Harper. Let's not forget about Ron Harper, 6'6". People don't understand how great fucking Ron Harper was. Ron Harper was baby Jordan. That dude was, knee injuries fucked him off from being a Hall of Fame first ballot. But you don't need 1989 Ron Harper on the 96 Bulls. Ron Harper post-knee injuries is perfectly fine because he's going to hit every big shot and he's going to play some of the greatest defense you've ever seen. And he can guard. So at the time, you got 6'5" Ron Harper guarding a 6'2" John Stockton. You got 6'6" Michael Jordan being guarded by and guarding 6'4" Jeff Hornacek. And then you got 6'7" Scottie Pippen on 6'7" Byron Russell. And Byron Russell was never anybody that can create his own shot. Byron Russell was a great knockdown shooter, but he was not one to create his own shot. And that nigga looked like Evander Holyfield. So at every point, Chicago had Utah outmatched at every position. Against Seattle, when they put Gary Payton on Jordan, what did they start doing? They had to start calling them fucking fouls on Gary Payton to get him off Jordan. Because when Gary Payton wasn't on Jordan, Gary Payton had to guard Ron Harper. He has 6'5" Ron Harper on him. Gary Payton, I think, was 6'4". Next best player, Hersey Hawkins. Jordan fans don't even remember who the fuck Hersey Hawkins is. You got to be a real NBA fan to remember Hersey Hawkins. If you ain't a real dyed-in-the-wool NBA fan, you don't know who the fuck Hersey Hawkins and Nate McMillan is. You think Nate McMillan is just a nigga that's coaching. You got to be a basketball fan and remember Nate McMillan and Hersey Hawkins. Casual basketball fans who only read stats, they don't know who them two niggas is. In other words, the Bulls had them niggas outmatched at every position. When Jordan gets tired of, you don't have to put Jordan on Gary Payton because he has Ron Harper there. And then when Gary Payton switched over to Jordan, he was giving Jordan problems. Foul trouble. Let's control this outcome. What did I tell you guys before? Watch these playoffs. I'm glad there's a round and a half left in mid. This is how NBA referees control games. Take notes. Fouls. 2 fouls within the first 3 to 4 minutes of the first quarter, third quarter, all the quarters. Look at this is how the Clippers should have won game 1 against Denver. The Clippers were starting to really pull away. So what they did that game 1 when the Clippers went up at like 17 points, they get the other team's best defender. They kept putting Norman Powell in foul trouble, and they put Kawhi in foul trouble. And this how they helped Cleveland beat Boston in 2011. I'm sorry, Miami. When Miami beat Boston. You get the other team's best defender in foul trouble, 2 fouls right away. So what they'll do is, whoever's doing they do it all the time. They'll get you 2 fouls within the first 9 minutes of the quarter. Now you got to sit down. And then when you come back in the third quarter, you can't be aggressive for at least the first 7 minutes. And so if you come in, and depending on the lead or lack of a lead, if the game is at an even pace, they may let you live, but you got to play hands off because you don't want to get that third foul. But if you come in and you play some lockdown defense, they'll call a fucking phantom foul on you. Third fouls, now you got 3 fouls. It's 8 minutes left in the second quarter, and the coach got a decision to make. Do they leave you in there and basically you can't play defense, you got to be hands off, or do they pull you out? Most of the time they'll pull you out, and that's it for you the rest of the half because they want to enter the third quarter with only 3 fouls instead of 4. So when they want to control the outcome of the game, pay attention to the team's best defender. Watch both teams. If you see whichever team, their best defender has 2 fouls in the first 3 to 4 minutes of a game, and then when the third quarter starts, they pick up that 4th foul within 5 minutes. They pick up that 4th foul within 5 minutes. That's who the other team is, the one that the NBA is trying to have win. That's how you dictate who is the preferred winner tonight. Whichever team's best defender gets in quick foul trouble, that's who they trying to have lose. All this shit's contrived, man. ABA's. Tim Donaghy wasn't lying, in my opinion. Yeah, that's why Jordan Glazers and LeBron Glazers don't get along. Jordan Glazers see themselves. It's just that the LeBron Glazers, they not hooked on child support yet. They're younger. Well, them niggas, they are now. They getting older. They getting older. The LeBron Glazers in your 30s, you niggas is starting to get where the Jordan niggas was in 2002. That's what y'all doing. Stockton's Robert Williams. Yeah, they tilted the NBA and they opened it up. The teams got weak. Jordan was the only person that had a good, well-rounded team. Shooters, you got Steve Kerr. Going back to what I was talking about role players. Jeb Bush or Steve Kerr? No. Are these guys but look at Hall of Fame, like, are they the greatest one-on-one players? No, but look at how it works. Steve Kerr leaves the Bulls and he goes to San Antonio and continues winning championships. That's how great of a shooter Steve Kerr was. It wasn't just Jordan. He did the same for Tim Duncan and David Robinson. That's the level of help that Jordan had versus at a time where Reggie Miller didn't have that level of help. Hakeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, early David Robinson before the back injury. These guys, Dominique Wilkins, these guys didn't have that level of help. Jeb Bushler wasn't a great all-around player, but he could knock down shots. He didn't miss. Luke Longley wasn't a great center, but he didn't miss. Bill Wennington wasn't a great center, but he didn't miss. The one thing Bill Wennington, Luke Longley can do, just like same game plan as LeBron, just like Jonas Ilgauskas, the one thing they can do is hit the open jumper. You throw the ball to them and tell them to post up and get 2 points, not going to happen. Tell them to sit their ass right there in the corner and hit this open jump shot. It's going to happen at a very high percentage. Now, I'm not Gen X, I'm a millennial. Yeah, they create space. That's how passing lanes for Jordan to go to the rim and switch hands, those lanes are created because shooters keep the defense at home. Without shooters, they'll do what they did to Kevin Durant in 2016. Collapse, no lane. Good luck, Chuck. Shooters are everything to superstars. You only need 2 great players and surrounded by shooters. You don't need 4 great players. It's cool to have 3, but you don't necessarily need 3. You need 2 great players and niggas that can defend and shoot. If you got 2 great players on the court with 3 players that can defend at their position at a high level and hit open jump shots at a high level, you're probably going to win a championship. If out of those 2 great players, one of those great players is a closer. That's the formula for winning. You get one person you can ride, one person that can close. Shared responsibility. It's a team game. The Lakers rolled Shaq, Kobe closed. Second championship, Kobe was that rare, they rolled Kobe and Kobe closed. Pau Gasol was more of a release valve who could take over some nights, but consistently, the Lakers rolled Kobe and he closed. But those players are rare, the ones that you can ride and that can close. Yeah. Yeah, Horace Grant. Horace Grant continued to win in Orlando, and he continued to win when he came to the Lakers. Ron Harper left Michael Jordan, continued to win when he came to the Lakers. Luke Longley would have been okay, but he had that fucking injury surfing in Australia. But LeBron's teammate, I mean Jordan's teammates, they left Jordan. They continue. It was continued success. Hell, Scottie Pippen. Let's tell the truth. If the Lakers don't come back 15 points in the fourth quarter, Game 7 against the Portland Trailblazers, Scottie Pippen would have been a 7-time champion because Indiana wasn't beaten. The best was the West. It was Lakers and Portland. They had identical records, but the Lakers won the head-to-head matchup. So the Lakers had the home court advantage, and we came back and won Game 7. If the Lakers don't come back down 15 and win Game 7, Portland beats the Lakers. Portland most definitely beats Indiana. Scottie Pippen would have had 7 championships. It was Kobe that stopped Scottie Pippen from getting his 7th. Let's tell the whole truth. And if you say anything otherwise, I'm going to look at your profile and that shit going to say under 30. Or it's going to say you over 30, but you a nigga that watch rhythmic gymnastics, not basketball. Somebody said, G-Man, did you miss what I said? Pippen went up against Shaq and Kobe and Phil Jackson. If anybody other than Phil Jackson is coaching Shaq and Kobe, Pippen wins in that Portland. Portland collapsed. If they don't collapse, they win in 2000. Stop it. People like bringing up Houston, but they don't bring up Portland. Pippen led them niggas to be tied with the best record in the league. The Lakers and the Portland Trailblazers were tied for best record in the league. Pippen did that. They never bring up 2000 Portland. They never bring that up. Pippen got, because before that, Rasheed Wallace, the Portland Trailblazers were known as the Jailblazers. They were a bunch of misfits. There was a bunch of weed-smoking misfits. Portland. Press number 1 if you remember the Portland Jailblazers. They were weed-smoking misfits. Bonzi Wells and all them niggas. And I loved that team, but there was a bunch of weed-smoking misfits. Pippen got them niggas within the... And then Rick Adelman choked. The coach. No, that was Dunleavy. That wasn't Rick Adelman. Rick Adelman was their coach in 92, 91. Rick Adelman is who coached the Trailblazers to the championship in 90 and 92 against the Pistons and the Bulls. It was Mike Dunleavy, former Lakers coach, because Mike Dunleavy coached for the Lakers in 91. And it was Mike Dunleavy who beat Rick Adelman in the Western Conference Finals in 1991, Lakers versus Blazers. So yeah, it was Dunleavy who then started coaching for the Trailblazers, and he was the coach of the Trailblazers in 2000. Yeah. So, yeah, they choked. Well, let's not act like Scottie Pippen didn't get that team of misfits to play together. You're right, there was Bad Boys West. And I'm not a Pippen fan. I never liked Pippen. But I'm not going to. The difference between me and you emotional niggas is I could not like a player but still give them credit for something that they did well. Never liked Pippen. That nigga always looked like something smell with his nose. I don't like niggas that look like everything around them stink. And that's Scottie Pippen with that big ass nose. He looked like everything stink around him. Never liked him. The truth is the truth. If Kobe don't do what the fuck he did in 2000, Pippen's a 7-time champion. Sometimes it's not that you're not good enough. but sometimes you run into a force that's greater than yours. And it's not that Pippen wasn't good enough to be a champion in 2000. Pippen ran up against a force that was greater than his. Shaq, at the greatest season he ever had, and Kobe coming into his own against his former coach and former teammate, Ron Harper. One former Bull won that championship, another former Bull lost it. And then when you get to 2003, another former Bull wins, Steve Kerr. So the Jordan retires, you got former Bulls winning 4 out of the next 5 championships. So yeah, Scottie Pippen lost his, but Ron Harper won. Former Bull starter. So either way it go, you Jordan dick riders, you can't get away from former Bulls still winning championships. Name the former Laker that won a championship after leaving Kobe in 2009 and 10. Sasha Vujacic, he was out of the NBA within 3 years of leaving Kobe at the age of 26. Same with Jordan Farmar. I said the Pau Gasol championships. Or he won a championship before he came to the Lakers. I said the second Laker championship team. Robert Horry wasn't on that team. The Pau Gasol team. Shannon Brown out of the NBA within 3 seasons. Jordan Farmar out of the NBA within 3 seasons. Sasha Vujacic out of the NBA within 3 seasons. Andrew Bynum done. Pau Gasol. Guess how many playoff games Pau Gasol won after leaving Kobe? 1. He didn't make the playoffs with the Bulls. And then he went over to San Antonio, won 1 playoff game. Pau Gasol went right back to just being a pedestrian. Pau Gasol was looking like fucking Kevin McHale with Kobe. He left and ceased to win playoff games. Lamar Odom, done. Derek Fisher, that nigga went from winning championships to stealing Matt Barnes' wife. That was some cold shit, too. And I love Matt Barnes. He's a good dude. At least from what I know about him. Trevor Ariza had a great career, and I love Trevor. I know Trevor personally. I don't know him personally like that, but we always greet each other. We you know, it's always love between Trevor Ariza and I when I see him. He was a 9th grader when I was a senior in high school. Pau Gasol won 1 playoff. Did he win that playoff series with Houston? I'm sorry, was it? Did Pau Gasol win that playoff? He didn't win it with Chicago. Either it was Chicago or San Antonio, but either way it go, Pau Gasol wasn't shit when he left. You cannot name the Laker that left Kobe in the 2009-2010 championship. No, Fisher played for Utah before that run. Fisher played for Utah after he left Golden State. He left the Lakers in 2004, signed with Golden State for $37 million, 5 years, and then moved over to Utah. Had that playoff run to where they got to where did they get? Did they get to the East Western Conference Finals that year against San Antonio and lost? Did they get to? Well, Fisher played that role, but then he came back to the Lakers because his daughter had the eye cancer, and he got out of his contract with Utah and came to the Lakers. Again, that's why I said anybody that played for Kobe, and I gave you those years for a reason. And the reason why I gave you the years 2009 and 2010 was because those were the years without Shaq, so you can't say Shaq was, we played with Shaq. Those were the other years. He went to the finals 3 times, won 2. And that was and when they won in 2009, the Lakers were the youngest team in the NBA. Kobe don't get credit for that. Kobe won a championship with the youngest team in the NBA. Ron Artest was done after leaving Kobe. Everybody was done. Go back and look at the roster. Vladimir Radmanovich, done. Slava Medvedenko, done. You guys don't even know these names. DJ Mbanga. Kobe won a championship with DJ Mbanga, done. These niggas was looking like legit. And mind you, Javaris Crittenton, that nigga went to go shooting people with goddamn. It's funny, I got a Javaris Crittenton story. I was actually there in summer during the lockout. This when Ricky Rubio came back from Europe to play in the NBA during the lockout. And I was in the gym with this nigga Javaris Crittenton playing, hooping summer workouts. Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, all these niggas in the gym hooping. And this nigga Crittenton had an ankle monitor on. It's like summer runs. It's like Draymond Green in there. He like a rookie coming up. Was it no? No, wasn't Draymond. Not Draymond. Not Draymond Green. What was that nigga name? He looked like. What was that? Bass, Brandon Bass. My bad, I said Draymond Green. I remember Brandon Bass. He was Draymond Green before Draymond Green. It was like Brandon. It was like Paul Pierce, KG. I think Amari Stoudemire was in there, and it was like Ricky Rubio, Javaris Crittenton. This nigga had an ankle monitor on. Legends that they all look like. But yeah, I was around for all that shit. But go back and look. I tell people, you want to know how great Kobe is? Go look at that second championship run. And that team was the youngest team in the NBA. For you to win 2 championships, and by the age of 26, you're not in the NBA anymore, 27, that means you were cool. It's like you were cool, but you weren't no gangbuster. Michael Jordan's teammates, 3 of them, 3 former Jordan teammates, went on to win championships after leaving Jordan. 3. I'm talking about his second run. Like, y'all could say Robert Horry went on, but Robert Horry was a champion before he came to the Lakers. On that first championship team the Lakers had, Ron Harper was a champion before he came. Horace Grant was a champion before he came. Those some really, really good role players that they got their last run with the Lakers. But that second championship run, all them niggas was gone. The Lakers had no business making the finals in 08. To tell you the honest to God truth, let me tell you, see the basketball lover in me, See, there's two parts to me. There's the Laker fan, and then there's the fan of basketball. The fan of basketball in me needed to see that matchup of the Spurs versus the Celtics in '08. The Lakers had no business there. Bynum was hurt. Trevor Ariza had that broken foot. They should not have beat the Spurs. The Lakers had no business beating the Spurs. That's why I can never rank Tim Duncan ahead of Kobe. I don't even put Tim Duncan ahead of Shaq. The Spurs were stacked that year. They had Antonio McDyess. They were just coming off a finals win. They just swept LeBron the previous year. Tony Parker was in his prime. Ginobili was in his prime. They had just picked up Antonio McDyess to back up Tim Duncan. This was the Antonio McDyess that couldn't miss. That jumper was wet. They still had prime Bruce Bowen. They had a squad, y'all. The basketball lover in me, the better basketball matchup that year would have been Spurs Celtics. The Lakers were too green. They were the youngest team in the NBA, and they were missing too many key components. They were missing Bynum, and then they were missing Trevor Ariza. Trevor Ariza ended up coming back during the finals, but that was a rush job. He wasn't. Lakers had no business beating the Spurs. The best matchup for basketball would have been Spurs Celtics. And that's me talking as a Laker fan. And do I still prefer my Lakers win? Yes. It's my Lakers, fuck the Spurs. But the better matchup for basketball would have been Spurs Celtics. Hey, Nomad 559, catch up. You literally just said 05 and 07. I said the 09 and 2010 finals. Jeez, how many times have I got to say that? You must be rewound. You must be like, I'll be on a 5-minute delay or something like that. Click live, brother. Make sure you catch up. If y'all gonna be making comments, this everybody making comments. Make sure you click live to make sure that you current. Don't be making comments from what nigga said 10 minutes ago. Yeah, but the Lakers had no business beating the Spurs that year. The Spurs should have won. But that was always a black mark on Tim Duncan's career. He never went back to back. What do you mean would have been current match? We're talking about what happened, not what would have been. Catch up. We're not talking about would haves. You LeBron fans, you Jordan fans, you niggas be in fucking fantasy land all day. We're talking about what the fuck happened, not what would have happened. The Spurs were the better team than the Lakers. The Vegas odds had the Spurs winning that year. They didn't have the Lakers winning. Vegas bet on the Spurs. They had just swept the Cavs. They were the incumbent NBA champions, and they got better. They were the team that won the championship the previous year, and they got better. That's why they were selected to win that matchup against the Lakers. Mind you, the Lakers were a projected 6th seed when that season started. The Pau Gasol trade happened mid-season after Andrew Bynum's injury, and the Lakers weren't expected to do anything that year. They were like, the Lakers are going to be good when Bynum comes back. That was a narrative all throughout the second half of that season when they got Gasol. It was, the Lakers are going to be pretty good this year, but they're going to be really good when Bynum comes back. Nobody expected the Lakers to do anything without Andrew Bynum, because before Pau Gasol had got to the Lakers, he had been to the playoffs 3 times and got swept all 3 times. He got swept by Dirk, and he got swept by KG. I forgot the other team that swept him. Well, it could have been KG twice. But Pau Gasol had made the playoffs 3 times and got swept 3 times. So nobody was expecting the Lakers to do anything until Bynum got back. Yeah, Stray guys, we're not stat guys over here. We're basketball guys. Real talk, Stray. Real talk. So that's what was supposed to happen at that time. It was just that they couldn't fuck with Kobe. The Spurs couldn't fuck with Kobe. And Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich, them coaching matchups, but the Lakers won. This is prime Tim Duncan. The same Tim Duncan, you Bron-sexual, said that it was just too great for LeBron to even win one game against in 06. Yeah, Kobe's legs did look going though. Not really after that second championship. His legs were, it was done. Nigga, the Spurs had Bruce Bowen. That was the answer. And they had Tony Parker and fucking, people forget how great Tony Parker was. Manu Ginobili. Fuck me. What are you talking about? People, Tony Parker was better than Steve Nash. Anybody who's a basketball guy knows what I'm talking about. We're not talking about because Steve Nash was put into the D'Antoni system that elevated point guard numbers to make them look better than they were. Tony Parker was a fucking killer. And the Spurs, when they won that championship against Cleveland, people forget that Greg Popovich put the offense in the hands of the Spurs in 2007. The Spurs stopped running their offense through Tim Duncan in 06. It was 07 was when they won that championship. That's when they started putting. That's why Tony Parker won MVP. It wasn't just the finals. That was all season. Tony Parker became the number one option in the Spurs in 2007. People forget that in 2005, 4, when Tony Parker was like in his third year, he led the league in points in the paint. This was during Shaq's prime. During Shaq's prime, Tony Parker led the NBA in points in the paint. Dwight Howard was in the NBA by then. Shaq was in his prime. Rasheed Wallace was in his prime. Dirk Nowitzki was in his prime. Tim Duncan was in his prime. Tony Parker still scored more points than Shaq, Tim Duncan, Rasheed Wallace, Dirk Nowitzki, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, than all of them. That's who Tony Parker was. And that's who Tim Duncan had on his team. They minimize it. They just don't talk about Tony Parker. Couldn't stop the little bugger. And Kobe would have to guard him because he would cook Derek Fisher. Tony Parker saw Derek Fisher guard him and that Pepe Le Pew motherfucker started eating all kind of French toast and French fries and whatever the fuck, French goddamn drinking French connections. When he saw Derek Fisher guarding him, Tony Parker, Derek Fisher at that time, y'all remember Derek Fisher? Derek Fisher gave away so many fucking contracts. Troy Hudson got $50 million off Derek Fisher. One series against Derek Fisher with the Minnesota Timberwolves in 2004. Troy Hudson get $53 million and never play and walk away from like injuries, but he got the money. Mike Bibby, nigga, Damon Stoudemire, these niggas ate with Derek Fisher guarding their ass. Like, god damn. Especially Mike Bibby. Mike Bibby used to kill that nigga Derek Fisher. Oh my god. And that nigga Tony Parker would kill Derek Fisher. So Kobe would have to guard him. Yeah, no, you right. You right, J-Man. Fisher was good for taking a charge 2 or 3 times a game and switching the momentum. But that was against like regular point guards. Nigga, players like Mike Bibby and Tony Parker, nigga, it wasn't no. Derek Fisher couldn't take enough charges. Them niggas be dropping 72 points on his ass. Yeah, all off pick and pop. That nigga, they put Derek Fisher in pick and pop, and he be so goddamn confused. They set that screen on Derek, pick and roll. That nigga, Derek get caught in that screen every time. Bucket. Then every time Derek would step over the screen, they go to the basket. Every time Derek would step under the screen, they pop that motherfucker. Yeah, Derek Fisher was good for hitting that late 3, but for the first 47 minutes and 50 seconds, that nigga Derek Fisher would be getting cooked. Am I lying? Am I lying? See, y'all know. For all you stat niggas, read the chat room for all you stat niggas that think I'm capping. Read the chat room. Fisher was cool against in the regular season, but by the time it got to the second round of the playoffs, whoever the Lakers were facing in the second, third round, they would key in and cook the shit out of Derek Fisher. Fisher played good first round defense. He played marginal second round defense. Third round, that nigga was getting cooked. It didn't matter who it was. Troy Hudson, Mike Bibby, Damon Stoudemire, Tony Parker. That nigga was getting fucked up. Steve Nash, didn't matter. Chauncey Billups, didn't matter. Chauncey Billups was eating that nigga in Denver. Lakers got lucky. And like when Lakers beat Denver, Chauncey Billups was cooking the shit out of Derek Fisher. Oh my fucking God. I'm getting nightmares thinking about this shit. Rajon Rondo cooked that nigga. Oh my God. Nigga. Rayford Austin in Houston. Even hell, remember that year the Lakers played? Was it 09? No. Rayford Austin was Orlando. Orlando, yeah. But the year before that, in 08, when the Lakers played Houston in the second round, remember, in order to beat, people forget, before the Lakers beat the Spurs in 08, I think it was in third round, in the second round, they played against Yao Ming, T-Mac, and Houston. And it was, what's that dark nigga name? Tony Delk used to cook Fisher too. Bobby, he played for Sacramento and Houston. Bobby Jackson. Bobby Jackson used to cook Fisher. It was like Bobby Jackson would see Derek Fisher walk on the court. Oh, God. Tony Delk used to get that nigga. Jason Williams, the white boy, white chocolate. He used to cook Derek Fisher. Baron Davis. Oh, my God. Yes. So at some point, if the Lakers were going to win, Kobe had to guard that guy. Kobe would always have to end up on Mike Bibby because Sacramento Kings would be up 20 points in the third quarter with Fisher on Mike Bibby. And now Kobe got to guard Mike Bibby. Now Kobe got to guard. They would let Fisher guard Tony Parker for the first 3 quarters. Fourth quarter, Kobe got to guard him. Oh, yeah, Darren Williams. When they played against Utah, And I had courtside seats. When the Lakers played against Utah in 2010, I had second row seats. And I got to be 50 feet, 20 feet from Darren Williams, had his knee brace all in Derek Fisher's ass. Darren Williams' knee brace was shit brown by the end of the second quarter because he was all in Derek Fisher's ass. He fished his foot in his ass. I had second row seats all those games. I know. And I love Derek Fisher. I think Fisher's number should be retired. 5 championships. Retire number 2 for Derek Fisher. I think Coop and Fisher should have been the Hall of Fame exceptions, but at least Coop just made the Hall of Fame. I love Derek Fisher, but truth is the truth. Oh yeah, Leandro Barbosa used to cook Fisher. Steve Nash would go to the bench. Steve Nash would go to the bench cooking Fisher, and then Barbosa would come in and cook his ass even more. It was bad. Every year in the playoffs, that's who the other team was going to attack every year. Attack Derek Fisher. And Kobe Bryant would always have to cool off whoever got hot on Fisher. Neither LeBron nor Jordan had that responsibility. When the Bulls needed somebody cooled off, Scottie Pippen did it. Cats going at it. When the Bulls needed somebody cooled off, Pippen, you do it. Eddie Kane, yeah, some cat down there got. I'm about to get off here though. I gotta walk Rocky. I know Rocky gotta take a shit. And it's funny y'all heard them cats. Them cats are like 9 buildings down. They're not even right here. Them hoes is like 9. They're like at the end of the fucking. They're like nowhere near me. It's like 9 buildings down. Y'all heard that shit. Cats ain't nowhere near me. But that's the house where that skunk be at, that Rocky tried to flex on. It's like somebody got like, He said cats holding down the block. No, that's the same house that that a fucking skunk be at. And Rocky little ass be trying to buck up. Like, Rocky, sit your ass down. But nah, man. But like, see, that's what's gonna happen when basketball comes back to NBC. NBC's gonna get back to storylines of the game. They done inundated for the last 20 years that Disney's owned NBA coverage. They done inundated y'all with stats that you can't even interpret. They selling you niggas. Jordan LeBron debate is selling you a bunch of hype. Because as long as you debating Jordan and LeBron, 2 people win. The NBA, because you got the NBA on your mind, and Nike. They win. The 2 partners in crime. Because if you notice, you don't have these incessant debates in football nor baseball. Am I lying? Do you see this nonstop debate in baseball? Do you see it in football? You don't see it in basketball. And you see it all the time. And so as long as you're debating, you're keeping the NBA relevant and you're putting money in Nike's pockets. And LeBron has been given stacked teams for 15 years For 15 of his 22 years, he's gotten ultra stacked teams, and the best he could do was 4 meager championships. They don't even talk about 2021 when he had Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis. He had the same record the Lakers had in 93-94, 38 wins, when that was James Worthy's last year and Nick Van Exel's rookie year, the year before they drafted Eddie Jones. LeBron had the same record with two other Hall of Fame teammates. They just don't talk about the shit. They just don't keep you focused on those 4 years he won and that ultra stacked team he had in the East when the East wasn't shit. He had literally the three best players in the East before they even got together was Wade and Chris Bosh. Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and Kevin Garnett, they were all past their prime when they got together. If you ask in 2010, who are the 3 Eastern Conference starters on the Olympic team in 2008? Bosh, LeBron, and Wade. And they all end up on the same team. There is no fucking GOAT. Jordan was the best of the 90s. Magic was the best of the 80s. Kareem was the best of the 70s. Kobe was the best of the 00s. The 20 teams is a toss-up between LeBron and Steph Curry, if you're going to count championships. And this decade is up for debate. We're 5 years into this decade, and there's no clear-cut winner. They're trying to push Jokic on us, but it's not Jokic. They were trying to tell us Jokic was some fucking all-time great. Meanwhile, he was being guarded by goddamn, what was it? Who's that backup point guard? That was Caruso? Jokic just lost being guarded by a backup point guard. What was it? Who they lose? I'm drawing a blank that quick. Was it SGA? Not SGA. Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards? Yeah, Caruso. Yeah, they played against Oklahoma City, yeah. They said they played against Oklahoma. Caruso was guarding him in the fourth quarter. This nigga, Jokic was a 1 for 5 against Caruso in a closeout game. He's literally being guarded by a backup point guard, Alex Caruso, in a fucking last 2 games of the series in the fourth quarter, and couldn't do nothing with him. But he's a 3-time MVP. And then OKC literally won the game by running at whoever. The third quarter in that game 7 was literally a layup line with Jokic standing right there. They weren't even usually if it's Anthony Davis or a real center back there, they got to run high screen and roll to pull the center away from the basket. That's generally the strategy for getting to the basket is to run plays to pull the center away from the basket. They weren't doing that. They were just running their plays with Jokic at the basket and scoring anyway. Yeah, Donovan Mitchell is definitely greater than a lot of guys. These guys pop up. Look at what Tyrese Halliburton is doing right now. They sat his ass on the end of the bench because Nike wanted LeBron to win some fucking award they just created, MVP of the Olympics. They just created an award and said, hey, we're going to make sure LeBron plays the whole game so he can get it. It don't matter if Steph Curry won the game or not. And we're going to sit this nigga Tyrese Halliburton. They didn't even put Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown won Finals MVP and didn't even make the Olympic team because of Nike. They say it is bullshit, people. There is no greatest. It's just, at best, you can put the best player of a particular position in a particular decade. That's the best you can do. Yeah, that's the reason why Steph Curry didn't win the final Olympic MVP, because he's an Under Armour guy. Exactly. But we talking about Africa Bambaataa. I've been on over 2 hours. Shit. We talking about Africa Bambaataa tomorrow, y'all. We talking about this shit tomorrow. Right here. Probably about 12 hours from now, we're going to be talking about Africa Bambaataa, all right? Probably tomorrow, probably closer to probably like 2 Pacific time. We're going to talk about Africa Bambaataa and all this shit going on, all right? Go to DeWanB.com for all that shit. I'm out.